Hey, everyone. Thank you for coming back tonight on a beautiful Saturday night for Revenant Voices.
Hello, everybody.
My name is Abigail Unfred, and
Joshua Yoakum, and welcome.
Welcome. So first tonight, we wanted to start off by just giving a awesome shout out to our sponsors. We did land a new sponsor this week. Josh, what sponsors are you repping tonight?
Let's give a shout out to Jesse at Candy Skulls.
Yep. Jesse Lopez, he's got you on the prints and the Candy Skulls, beanies, hats, hoodies.
And looking good too.
And looking
great.
Good. Yeah.
And then I just found out that he's a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, no.
He's really a good man.
He's a good man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I've never had any problem repping him. I mean, I've probably got like 6 or 7 of his hoodies that I wear regularly because I just like what it represents. It really represents like that hustle.
And this man is a school teacher, right?
He is. Well, he works for the school district.
Okay.
So he works for the school district in the behavioral health section. I don't want to misstate what he's represented as, but I know he does a lot of really cool things in the community for his community in Argentine and then the surrounding communities of KCK and stuff like that. And so
shout out Jesse Lopez.
Jesse Lopez, you know?
Ooh.
And then we also have AYPN, which is the speaking group here in Kansas City that offers, it's called Activate Your Power Now. That's what the AYPN stands for. And they are starting their speaker series this year. And so if you just feel the urge to come on and tell your truth and hear some other people tell their truths, the first one is February 15th. And then following that, I'll have the schedule and the dates listed below. I don't have them memorized, guys. Sorry.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Now, what about Coffee Cup Chuck? Coffee Cup
Chuck, another great man.
Check him out.
Yeah. Check him out. He is just constantly, every day, he releases a spiritual and eye-opening piece. And sometimes it's a story. And within the story, there's always a lesson. And he has a different coffee cup on the front of his post every single day. It's a motivational post. So
nice.
Also a really good man. And then the fourth one, you know, we touch base on Equipbit and what they have personally done for my lives and some of the lives that are within our community here in Kansas City and surrounding. When Equipbit started 15 years ago, my boss started off with a dream that he wanted to support his family, and it grew to what it is today. And that's just something that I stand behind too.
For sure.
You know,
for sure. And so, yeah, we wanted to take a time to. These are real people just like us, and they're doing good things. So,
and that's why, you know, so if you would like to sponsor us and would like to get your name out there, definitely email us at revenantvoiceskc@gmail.com. And we would love to rep your stuff. I think it's important to continue to support small business.
Yeah,
that's really big for me. Local
KC.
Right here for me, KC. Yeah. If you have a business that's outside of KC, it's not that we wouldn't represent you, but
we just love our city.
We just love our city, man. We're just from Kansas City. Tomorrow the Chiefs play in the Ooper Bowl.
Oops, Super Bowl. Yeah.
No, the Ooper Bowl.
You can say that. Ooper Bowl. Huh?
Yeah, we'll see when it's when it comes up. Yeah. I look good in orange, so there's that.
In black and white.
Yeah, black and white. Yeah. Well, let's get started off tonight with some questions that we had from some of our listeners. I will grab the first one, and go ahead and you can grab yours, and we'll see. Did you go first last time?
I think.
I don't know.
Don't let me lie to you. I don't know. I'm game.
Well,
I can go.
I guess before, yeah. How was your week?
It was pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, what was the highlight of your week?
The highlight of my week.
You got your truck back?
I got my truck back. Hey! Oh my gosh. Yes.
And it's moving and grooving now?
And it's like it's supposed to.
Okay. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a blessing.
I'll tell you what, with that though, where I'm at with God, he's kind of, and I thought I had already been through this, but he has a way of humbling us and showing me that I am solely dependent on him for everything.
Yeah.
And I was putting a little bit too much security and confidence in that vehicle.
Yeah.
And he gave me a big old slice of humble pie. Not that he would cause that. I don't believe my God would cause it. But in it, dealing with the emotions and the thoughts and some stuff that come through, having to get the motor replaced in your brand new truck, to getting it back and it's messed up and all that.
It was an emotional tease.
Oh my gosh. But then, I was just taken back to God is my everything.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And what was the low?
I'll tell you. I'll be honest. This week, not confused, not tormented, but having a very intentional and serious dialogue with myself, between my flesh and my spirit, between my weakness and God's strength inside of me, between what I know I need to do and procrastinating.
Yeah.
And just.
So your low was just you had to have that battle?
Hashing it out.
Hashing it out with yourself.
Not avoiding it.
Yep.
Not just letting the elephant be in the room. Addressing it.
Yep.
Killing it. Putting that inner war
to bed. Yeah.
Stop, chill out. I'm not going down this road. I'm not going to be confused. I'm not going to be tormented. Let's have this battle.
Let your ego die.
Yeah. Big old slice of humble pie again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how that was your pro and your con for the week, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
What about you?
Well, today, February 8th, is my Isabel's birthday. And so that was the highlight for my day, was being able, there was a point in our life when I didn't know my daughter was going to wake up the next day.
Right.
She was born with heart issues. She was born with a lot of medical issues. And so every day, let alone every year with her, is huge for me.
You cherish it.
I do. I cherish it so much. And then being able to, I don't want to cry so early in the episode.
Well, here, get it together. Well, here, let me take a moment. Shout out to every single parent, maybe it's a grandparent, who has dealt with or is still dealing with a baby born with complications.
Yeah.
Shout out. It's a long journey, a long haul, and just be thankful for it, because what we have to hold and cherish, most humans take for granted.
Oh, that is 100% true.
And it's worth every bit of that journey. It really is. You got me crying, bro.
Dude, I know. I've just been so emotional all day about it, because I'm looking at this beautiful little girl
that the doctors said would not make it.
Yeah, man. Like, they said that she wasn't going to make it at a point. And I remember, just even when we were in the hospital with pneumonia last year, and it's just complications happen so quickly for us. And so every day I have with her is blessed. And that was my positive. And my negative was I loathe birthday parties. I loathe them. Yeah. I do.
She's not saying love, family. She's saying loathe. Strongly dislike.
If I could plan my perfect birthday party for my kid, I would just take the same amount of money and energy, and we would just go disappear for a couple of days in the woods and get lost and grounded and found all again. But where we're at with, I have to play nice with everyone that's in Belle's family and really think about what is best for her. At this point, we're still doing the decorations and cookies and $60 cakes. Thankfully, there were his family was very much involved this time.
Yeah.
And so this year, I had that extra support we were able to, use Chris's stepdads for hosting the party. I mean, that's like $400.
Yeah.
Just to have some place to collectively gather people for a party. And so
to make the mess.
With Jazzy's, we had like an hour and a half at that pool that I scheduled. It cost me $375 just to schedule it for an hour and a half. And then the guy came in 5 minutes before and was like, you guys have 5 minutes left. And we had literally just cut the cake.
Right.
So it was just so frustrating. And, to have opportunities like that means so much. To me, I'm a very grateful person for anyone, because nobody has to help you or your kids. No. Nobody has to do any of that. No. And so
no one has to care.
Nobody has to care, and so when it's offered, it's big to me. And so I don't know how many times I was just trying to show gratitude, like, thank you. Really, this means a lot. Thank you. now I can pay a bill that I've been
Come
avoiding.
on.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Now
Yeah.
I can do something else for my kids because that opportunity was gifted to me. So,
Well, shout out Belle. Happy birthday.
woo, my baby Belle, 8 years old. Well, she's not a baby, damn it. But she's 8 years old today. I'm so happy. Yeah. So.
Now, what about your low?
Oh. Well, yeah, no, my low was I loathed the birthday party, and the low was just was learning how to keep my cool. I mean, I was in a similar battle to where, you know, I talked a little bit about this last time, where I get into these moods with the father of my kids where I hold a lot of resentment and for things like that, because I'm carrying a lot of the bricks. And so to be able to my low was having to keep my shit in check.
But you did it.
I did it. I did keep my shit in check. I did not kick and scream and cry and whine and say, why me? I thought about one of my favorite verses, 2 Kings 4:44, and it says, not only will you be fed, but there will be leftovers. And I think about that every time I want to be angry or hold resentment against bits of my experience on this earth with my children. And I have to just think, like, you know what? All of this that I'm putting in, I'm gonna get fed. I'm not only going to get fed, but I am also going to have leftovers.
Have plenty to share.
I'm always gonna have abundance because of the way I move, and that is enough for me. That my kids, the ripple effect of my kids is like people I help out or you know, I hold my tongue in certain situations and things like that. It's trickling down to my kids. And so I just have to keep that perspective. That's the end goal, right? That the end goal is like, what type of experience am I providing for my kids? And that replays in my head every day. And I'm going to fix my mic, so.
All right. Well, I have to say, from what it sounds like, I don't know, I wasn't with you every day, but pretty good outcome for the week. Yeah. Pretty good balance.
Well, yeah.
We made it through
next week.
going with the highs and the lows as long as we can
find the
just
beauty
balance
in
it. Find the beauty in it. What you had sent me the other day of just enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
We're gonna get there eventually. And go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you know, what the enjoy the journey part is like for our listeners, that is something that just take a minute to really soak that part in. Is like shit can even be really messy and hectic,
storm going
chaotic.
on.
There's a storm around you.
But you can still have joy.
You can still find joy.
You can still have peace.
Yeah.
And enjoy it.
You might as well.
It sounds crazy, especially
it's like riding a bull.
You guys might be riding a bull right now, and we're saying just enjoy it. Seriously, just enjoy it, because sometimes I get so focused on the destination that I forget to enjoy the journey that I'm on.
Yeah.
And really take time to be present and enjoy the people that I'm on the journey with.
Yeah.
You know?
Because they might not be here forever, man.
They
might
most likely won't.
They most likely won't. And you just really never, I mean, me and you, we've buried a lot of people, you know, like I've gone to quite a few funerals with you over the years of people that we grew up with, friends, you know, with the, like you, it's a lot. It's a lot. And, you know, as they kept coming and I kept getting, I don't want to say invited, but yeah, you get invited to these funerals and you're like, I haven't seen them in a long time. Like that's crazy. That's so sad.
How sad how it turned out.
Yeah.
Especially like for me, I beat statistics.
Yeah.
I should be dead or still in prison.
Yeah.
And so to show up to some of these funerals of good people, it's wild. Like, man, how did this happen?
So does that make you want to take more advantage of your opportunity, knowing that you have it?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And then also take the opportunity. I never want to like push myself on a family like that in one of those situations, but every opportunity I get to speak at a funeral, I do. Because I love to pray with a family that's going through something like that. But sometimes death can a lot of times death will bring division and animosity and resentment and jealousy into a family. And so every opportunity I get, I'll speak.
No, I that's actually, I'm the opposite. But I think it's beautiful that you're called to do that, because that is something over the years of doing estates and stuff. I've dealt with a lot of families that it ripped them apart.
It does.
It rips them apart. And I personally never really, I'm not good at funerals, and I'm not good at, I'm getting better. But like when I was younger, it almost sounds weird, but I would laugh at funerals. Like, not obnoxiously clown laughing in the background, but like I would try to find
kind of socially awkward type of deal. Like,
yes,
I don't feel this vibe, bro.
I don't. The energy in here is
this
off.
is different.
So like, especially when people are crying around me and stuff, now I just hug them while they're crying.
So I didn't know that we'd end up here. We haven't even got to the questions yet.
Yeah.
Come on, Doug. That's what I'm talking about. Mind you guys, Revenant Voice is what we're wanting to do. We're wanting to address mental illness. We're wanting to address addiction. We're wanting to address
I wouldn't say wanting to. We are.
We're addressing it.
You know,
and
things that we've lived through. And
we're sharing. We're giving a voice from our experience and the lives that we've put to death and became new creations. And we are giving a voice to that from our life and experience and perspective, but we're hoping to give you guys the same fire, nudge, jumpstart, whatever you need to get on the same roll. It's not going to look like our life, but you can do it. You're not alone. Let's conquer this depression. Let's get out of this mental funk. And I want to share something real again.
Okay.
Again, I'm thankful for this podcast because I'm getting an outlet to share real life with the world, not just preaching a message to the church, right? Mm-hmm. And so I've never shared this really. When one of my best friends died, his stepson shot and killed him. Daniel Ward, shout out weirdo. And I was so wrecked when that happened, and not on methamphetamines and drugs to numb that pain. It was a different experience because before that, everything was numb and you get tore up. You don't have to deal with it. Well, this go around, I'm already on this Jesus kick and preaching and teaching, and everyone in the community has their eyes on me. And whenever I did his funeral out in the parking lot, I had to drink a half a pint of Crown Royal apple just to go in there and hold it together to be able to preach one of my best friend's funerals, you know. And even in that dark time, I was wrecked. I was crushed. Even in that dark time, some good things came out of that. One action that my wife made whenever I'm up there trying to do this funeral and I'm choking up and crying, she comes and she stands by my side and holds my hand. And that action in that moment, oh my gosh, I just fell in love with her all over again. But then just recently, a couple weeks ago, I was talking with Billy Hughes from Scarely Vision and the Shooters Only brand. Shout out Billy Hughes, by the way. And he's recently given his life to Christ and going to church and making changes and stuff. And I thought I had influenced him that direction from sharing some Bible verses with him and praying with him over some custody stuff and baby mama and stuff. And he shared with me a couple weeks ago when I was talking to him that me preaching at my best friend's funeral
is what did it?
Is what turned the tide for him and planted that seed.
Oh man.
And so
that's so powerful, man.
And I'm glad I was able to get through all that and not get all emotional. Or at least express it, you know. But even in your darkness, even in some of that stuff that comes, storms come, tragedy happens. But even in that, whenever you can just stay grounded, stay planted, be who you're called to be, other people will be influenced in such a mighty way by that.
Yeah. No, and you have no control over it.
I had no idea.
You have no control
idea.
over it. Like, it's like almost when you show up and your intention is to, like you said, you had some Bible, you assumed that it was that inner action with him that had changed it for him. But no, it was when you met them at their pain.
Right.
And it wasn't even on, it was your tongue was moving in a way of like, God, only it was God written.
Life.
You know, it was God written. And
and I don't encourage it, guys. I don't encourage it.
To just go speak at random funerals?
Especially, don't get drunk before.
Definitely not
Don't do that.
Yeah.
But and that's where I get so upset with religious people and people who love the law more than they love people. Again, I don't think that's okay to do. I'm sharing with you guys that I did it. And even in that darkness, in the dumb decision I made to kick back a half pint of alcohol just to settle my emotions long enough to get through that, a man had a seed planted in his heart to turn toward Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
And so I'm not encouraging it, but do never doubt what God is doing, and never doubt how powerful, how much of an impact you truly are, and you don't realize it.
Yeah, and you have no idea.
You have no idea, but just stay grounded, stay rooted.
Yeah. Oh, and on the number one, if you hear cackling in the background, our neighbor, Miss Amy DeSitter, she has a puffin paint, and tonight it's kicking, it's popping. Okay, so
shout out Amy. She's pretty cool.
Shout out Miss Amy. Definitely go to Art with Amy on Facebook and follow her. But I just wanted you to know that the cackling in that moment was it just kind of, I heard it on the thing, and I was like, second of all, like, you know, Revenant Voices for me, it's been very therapeutic just in the short time that we've done it, because these are things that I can't really talk about in my day-to-day life, you know, like I'm with my children or my grandparents, and for me, a lot of the painful, you know, moments and what I'm going through, I can't talk about with anybody on my day-to-day life, and them even have an inkling of understanding. I have people around me that are supportive, you know, in ways, but to be able to get on here and say, that was really fucking painful. And I think on my social media, I just present myself as such a strong interface that a lot of people don't know that I do be having moments where I can't, you know, stomach myself, or I can't stomach what's happening, and it's just the raw realness of the situation.
But let me commend you. Not everybody can be vulnerable to a public audience.
Yeah.
And so I just want to touch on a couple of things real fast. Number one, I didn't know that you were as much as a crybaby as me.
And that's recent. I hit 30 and my tear ducts opened up, man. Because before then, I was like a piece of leather. I was
Who cares about anybody's feelings now? I watch Forrest Gump and I'm crying. Oh my gosh. So I want to touch on that. And thank Revenant Voices. Thank you, God, for doing this, because it's more than just a podcast. We're given an outlet to, and it is very therapeutic to speak on these things in a healthy way. And, you know, just as much as our listeners may think that we're being a blessing to them, it's a blessing for us to be able to do this.
Yeah. So for whoever is out there listening, like, thanks for the therapy sessions,
yeah,
bro.
Appreciate you. And guys, something I want to encourage you in. I didn't used to think like this, especially being in ministry. Whenever I first came to Jesus and started my faith, and I'm all on fire, I wanted to connect with every ministry across Kansas City and try to unite and collaborate and all this stuff, right? And that's good. I love collaboration. But whenever we do that in our own understanding and have our own agenda, it leads to burnout and exhaustion and division and a lot of extra stuff. So when Abigail reached out about Revenant Voices, I responded with, look, I'm game. A podcast is something that God already told me to do, and I haven't done it yet like I could. And let me pray on it. Let me talk and pray with my wife, and I'll get back to you on
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to share that and share with you guys. You guys may have some stuff burning in your heart to do. You may have some missions to do. Please take some time to talk and pray and get wise counsel. Don't just jump into it, but also don't be scared to just jump into it if that's what you got to do.
Yeah, no, definitely I'd say listen to your heart. As corny as that sounds, like listen to your heart, because I spoke about this on my page a few days ago where I had my previous podcast and I wanted it so bad. I used to interview other small businesses, and my thing was I wanted to be able to share all of these awesome small businesses that, you know, this is a one-man team, a two-man team.
But collaboration, it's beautiful.
It is.
It's a beautiful
collaboration
thing.
is so inspiring, and it is so beautiful. And then it wasn't funded, and it wasn't, just like nothing was going right at the time.
Kind of had to force.
It was forced.
Forceful.
It was a lot of forced. And then when it ended the way it ended, it was like, God ended it, you know? And, you know, I really have no idea what caused the ending other than like funding ran out kind of thing, and you know, just some other fizzles, but it wasn't time. And then just to watch, you know, me and Josh, we talk about this quite a bit because we share things back and forth, and it's like this has just been so naturally happened.
It's flowing.
It's flowed. So I gave you this idea maybe 2 months ago. It's been about 2 or 3 months ago. I pitched him the idea and I was like, hey man, here's the deal. I really think that you're the person I want to fill with the slot, you know, and I have like I have this planned out, right? I have this crazy plan and I want you to be incorporated in it. What do you think about this? And he did. He came back and he was like, I got to talk to my wife. And I was like, you better
do that. Yeah.
Yep. Go talk to my wife. And he said he's going to go pray about it. And I said, okay.
But I love crazy. It's only crazy till it happens.
True. So. And then all of a sudden, I'm at this movie premiere. No, it wasn't the premiere. It was the movie. I was a +1 in a movie recently. And that's where I met our audio guy. And he just happened to be there, you know, part of an extra too.
Shout out Josh.
Yep. Shout out the other Josh. Oh, I shouldn't have said the other.
Is it easy or ease? Ease. Shout out Ease. Okay. That's it.
Ease, yeah. And so then I just happened to tell him like, hey, I'm going to start this podcast and we really kind of need some instruction on the audio part. And he was like, oh yeah, I want to be part of that. Cool. And then I spoke with
and wanting to, has a desire to. You didn't have to convince him.
Nope.
You didn't have to
force.
You didn't
tell
have
him
to
my worth or anything like crazy like that.
You didn't have to offer anything.
Yeah, he wasn't friends with me on Facebook or anything like that. There was no motive for him other than he just wanted to be helpful.
Come on.
And then that was like the studio. You know, I've had this studio for I share a studio with a few other photographers. I've had this for a little over a year now, and I use it for photography as well. But I kind of had spoke with the main guy, Michael, one of my mentors, and was like, you know, this is what I really want to do. Is this going to bother you or anybody? He was like, well, throw it in the group chat. Nobody's bothered, you know? And so it's like
just flowing.
Everything just kept lining up all the way up to our schedules.
Yeah.
You know,
which
and
is
that's
crazy.
Weird.
Which was
it's our main concern. Oh,
yeah.
If you would like to be a guest on Revenant Voices, we do have some slots coming up. Josh is going to be taking an out-of-towner for a couple of weeks, and so I'm going to be interviewing a couple of awesome people. And so far, when I say a couple of awesome people, I don't know yet. I have a few people in mind.
I have a few in mind,
but if you are interested, definitely
reach out.
Let me know, because we have committed to not stopping. We're not stopping. You know, we're going to keep going. We want this to be impactful to someone out there in the world. We don't know who. We just know that it's meant for that.
Well, hey, sometimes it's only your family members. Sometimes my sister Angel and my mom are like, hey, hallelujah, cool. When's the next episode coming? So. Oh,
we're almost up to 500.
Really?
Yeah, on Facebook. Like it's actually grown a lot from I'm an analytics nerd, and so it's actually.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank everyone that's chimed in, and you know, that's a blessing. It's a blessing. That's all I'm gonna say. It's honestly been a beautiful last couple of weeks. How God has just lined everything up. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
cool.
I'd say that's a great intro. I don't know how long we took, but I wanted to get that out. I wanted to get it off my heart. So
yeah, no, you know,
cool.
Hope if you made it this far, Okay, I'll go first this time. What steps did you take to change your perspective about yourself?
Ooh.
I know, it's a long one.
I think I'd like to get to both these questions, so I'm going to do my best not to drag that out.
Whatever's
right.
clever, we'll try it.
And so what steps did I take to do what?
What steps did you take to change your perspective about yourself?
About myself.
I only folded it 3,121 times.
I was fidgeting over here.
I was like,
yeah. All right, so I'm not going to apologize to your audience. Again, I want to reach the whole world, not just the church, but I'm me and I'm who I am. This is how I got there. Is I had to put to death and kill the idea that I had of myself. And then we've talked about it on here before, living out of that social mirror, trying to live up to the expectations of everyone around us and the expectations and the pressure and the identity that they have for us, that they try to put on us. I'm still having to put all that to death and not let that.
It's a process.
It's a process.
It's not an overnight thing where somebody, because where's your line between expectations and accountability? So I have people in my life that I used to think that they held high expectations, but really they're just meeting me at accountability. They're just saying, and it just really depends. But with certain people in my life, it's like, are they picking on me or are they holding me accountable?
Out of love.
Out of love.
And
it's best intentions.
I'm going to look at the camera on this one, and there is a fine line between that, right? This is my advice for the church and the world. Don't try to correct anyone. Don't try to hold anyone accountable if you're not spending time with that person in the trenches.
Yeah.
If you don't love them with your time, you have no business trying to correct them.
Yeah.
Trying to hold them accountable to your expectations, any of that. Even if you mean well, your mouth does not help.
Well, it's got to be an investment. Like, you said, I'm
you have to.
I don't want to be too arrogant with how I come across with certain people, because I do try to accept advice, but yeah, for my situation, a lot of times is with Isabel. People love to tell me how to raise Isabel. How they know.
It's like, bro, you're not in my everyday life, bro. Get out of my face. I love you.
I get a lot of commentary back from the school systems we've worked with and stuff like that, where to me, and this is gonna set some people off, but to me, if we're already gonna be late in the morning, then I'm gonna make breakfast and we're gonna take a nice hot shower and we're gonna go in. Like if I wake up at 8:20 and they start school in 20 minutes, I used to, come on, we gotta go, oh my God.
Why be under that hell?
Why
put yourself
anxiety.
To that hell? It's hell. Why?
Yeah. And all it did is when I started, I had to take accountability, because I did finally find a teacher that was giving me more ideas on how to change my situation than telling me my situation was wrong. Right. So
exactly.
She met me where I was at, and
show me the different way.
Yeah. And she's like, I've had a special needs child. She's like, these are the things that worked for me. I deal with your daughter every day at school, and so I know that these things will work better for her now. And so just kind of, I'll always, when somebody comes and they're like, ooh, it's not me telling you that you're doing everything wrong. It's that these few things, if I helped you be accountable for them, then that would, and again, all I think about consistently is a ripple effect on my kids.
But you were able to hear what she was saying and accept that advice because she was invested in your child.
She was invested in my child. There was time spent.
And her approach.
Yeah.
With love.
She didn't, and we've had multiple teachers and stuff be very judgmental on the fact, this attendance is so important.
Well, attendance is important. Being prompt is important. Being on time is important. Yes, I agree, especially if you're a leader. But I also agree that you don't have to be like the rest of the world.
Well, Isabel is never going to be like the rest of the world. And
so I'm not going to be a sheep going to slaughter. I'm not going to go off the cliff with the rest of them. And whatever, this is how I view life. But if you're 3 minutes off on starting,
Yeah.
come on, bro, get out of my face with that, bro. Come on.
It's true.
In leadership, though, it's expected.
Well, and in my role at my job,
it's expected.
There are certain things. It goes back to accountability. I should be holding myself accountable to be on time for my obligations.
Right.
Children shouldn't have that high of obligations. That's just my 2 cents. My kids are in the school system because I'm a single mom and I don't have a huge support system. And so my only option is to keep them in the school system so I can provide enough funds for us to have a comfortable life. That's it. If I wasn't in the position I'm in now, we would be, things would be different. I'm not going to say I'd be a stay-at-home mom. And to all you stay-at-home moms out here, I only couldn't do it because that's me. That's me. It's nothing. There's no competition in the mom world. Okay.
Right.
And women that try to put competition on the mom world, you need Jesus.
Or set that that expectation.
Yeah.
We all have our own personal lives.
We do. We all have our own personal lives and stuff like that. But, and I say that I couldn't be a stay-at-home mom, but I think it's just because I've never been given the opportunity.
Right.
Since my kids were born, I have been the breadwinner. I have always been the breadwinner. I've always been the one that worked 12, 15-hour days if they were needed, Saturdays if it was needed. The sacrifice kind of landed on my feet. And you did it, and you're doing it. And I'm just doing it, know, and I would hate the latter. The other idea of just sitting there and allowing anything to be an excuse.
Yeah.
Especially my kids. Like, I want them to see that regardless of your situation, you can create anything you want. And that's really important to me, is to be able to create anything you want. So
can I sing a song right here?
If you want.
Is there trademark stuff? How's that work? As you're talking, and my mom is one of the greatest examples of that song where it goes, what would you do if your son was at home crying all alone on the bedroom floor and he's hungry? Yeah. And he only went that one.
Yeah.
And what excuse is there really?
I don't know. I could find a whole bunch. Like, if I really wanted to sit there and find a whole bunch of excuses to not show up here every week, not go to work. The excuses could be pretty long, but for me, it's so I used to hear this all the time as a kid, and it just sticks with me. Excuses are like assholes. Everybody's got one,
and they all stink.
So,
hey, I ain't gonna lie. I had a foreman tell me that.
Yeah.
Not even 2 weeks ago, and I did not like it.
You didn't like it? He was aiming it at you?
He told me that. Yeah. And
that resonates with me hard most days, because when I want
to, me
and
off.
like we were talking before we started the show, it's like, I so badly sometimes I feel like I want to be the one that like lays down and cries and is just a big baby, I want to be the one.
And sometimes you can, but most times in your shoes, you can't.
So
it's not an option.
If I don't schedule it in, it doesn't happen, and that's cool too, and that's fine, and I'm just happy that I'm finally at a space in my life where like I'm conscious enough that I understand the importance of crying, and I understand the importance of weeping and different things like that. Like, there's
healing.
There's so much healing in releasing those emotions from your body. And I didn't know that for a long time. We talked a little bit on the last episode of, I grew up in a very masculine, I've grown up in multiple eras, right? So my parents split, and when I was like 10 years old, so from a baby till 10 years old, I had nothing but older brothers that I was running around, chasing around, And you
had to be tough.
I had to be tough. Keep up. That was it. And then we moved to the city, and then it was
no time to stop and cry.
No.
Keep up.
Oh, no. You got to keep up. If you did cry,
and shut up. Yeah.
Stay, get away from us. You can be around us. And so, some of those masculine traits, and I'm still 30 years old, the first 10 years of your life are so impactful, and you don't even realize it until you're older, trying to heal from some of that. You're like, wow, that's not quite the best way to go about it,
Yes.
But for me, with the question was, how did I change the perspective about myself? It was being able to take that inventory, the inventory of myself.
The self evaluation.
Self evaluation is the only way I could change the perspective of myself.
Not other
because,
people's. But
I walked out of a relationship a few years ago, the last relationship I was in, and I walked out of it. And when you talk about being disgusted with yourself, I was so disgusted with myself. I was like, I cannot believe that I can't believe this. Like, I was just in awe, you know, like I don't even want to get into it. It's just so still really raw for me some days. But, so I had to like sit down and be like, okay, Abigail, why? How did you get into this mess? You know, so I had to write down every single thing. I hate the fact that I did this. I hate the fact that and I just had to, all these things that I hated about myself. The only way to get over it was to forgive myself.
You have
for doing
to
this.
forgive yourself.
You know, at one point I had my ex hooked up to my Uber, and I was spending hundreds of dollars for him to do whatever he wanted on my Uber. Like, that's just a piece of the pie, and it's like, really, I had to take an account of that, because it's not, I allowed that.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
right.
The accountability comes in
You're
when
not
you're like,
Abigail, you're not a victim.
Nope. And I really, that triggered me a little bit just by you saying it.
It's
right.
But,
you're right though.
And guys, a lot of times we are victims to things.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying to
in
you
that
in
case,
that
it
is
wasn't.
You're more than a victor.
Right. Yeah.
You have the victory already. So in that, we have to be accountable.
We do.
Bring it back in.
And when I'm taking this account of these things that I full-heartedly was like in it, and for me at the time, I had this childish mindset of like, this is building loyalty, you know, like this, he's gonna see that like I genuinely care about him and love and like all
great
that.
intentions, best of intentions.
It was the best of intentions, you know, but at the same time, it was what I had seen from my childhood was, you know, my dad was in and out of the country a lot. And so when he, you know, I don't know, it kind of all comes back to a ball of like, a simplistic way to say it is that I was trying to buy love. I was trying to buy loyalty, and I was thinking in the back of my head, I was like, man, I have these resources. This person doesn't have any resources. If I give them these resources to get them out of survival mode, that is true love. That is like the deepest form of love. But
right.
like, you know,
that's
that's
not when it's not reciprocated.
It's not. And if anything, I just put myself out there like a sucker. And when I put myself out there like a sucker, it was the first time I'd ever been vulnerable in a relationship, like genuinely vulnerable, and was, you know, for me, I had to write down all of these things to change the perspective, because I had to get my mind back right. I had to get right for my kids, right? Because I had sat there for a couple months in this deep depression, and I just doubted everything I did, and that's not like me, you know, like So
can I... For me, I want to make sense of this, but then let's try to articulate that for the audience. You were operating in a form of love that you thought that was love. You were taught that is a way to love on somebody.
Yeah.
The love wasn't reciprocated.
Yeah.
And you lost value in yourself.
Yeah. Okay, just break it down like that. It's beautiful how you just did that.
I'm trying to process.
True.
I'm you know.
Yeah, and you invest. You know, you invest in certain people or in certain relationships, and you just think that you're investing in like an IRA that's going to continue to build. And
at some point in time, there will be some reciprocation. It'll come back.
Eventually,
some point in time.
Yeah. And I even
but
did
how
that
long do I give? How long do I sacrifice? How long do I?
Yeah. And at what point is it enough? And so like for the ending for that was, you know, it had for me, my older brother, because it did not end kindly. And my older brother had said something to me like a couple days after it ended or whatever. And he was like, Abigail,
you got it.
I'm just trying to take a better way of saying it. But for me, my older brother, a day or two later, when I was sitting on the couch just weeping about it, and in my feelings, because it was a lot, it was raw and it was hard to process, and mom at the same time. And so he came and was like helping cook and clean. And, you know, I was like couch bound for a couple of days. And when he found out that I had messaged that person trying to find some sort of closure, he was like, you must really like that shit. You must really like that. And I was like, no, what do you mean? He's like, after everything, you're going to sit here and go eat off the same fucking plate that's got you sitting here on the couch.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like,
it's all I know. You know,
all I know.
Sometimes, and not speaking on any individual human being, but taking it back to the accountability. And sometimes chaos is more comfortable.
Especially if you grew up in storms. If you're a storm chaser, there's a really cool song that I don't want to get into the copyright thing, but you know, it talks about like how you love storms and how you love that chaos, and if you're good at sitting in chaos, then you know the peace that came after that relationship ended. It did take a minute. You know, it was like I said, it was a few months. It happened like right before Christmas, and so I had to really sit with it for a minute in the cold, you know, and just process that whole thing, because I didn't want to stand up and be that same person.
Right.
I did not want to come out of this relationship and be the same person I was walking. There was no way I was going to either way, you know, and I think that that's a thing that I see on Facebook a lot, where a lot of women, specifically women, but I know dudes also say it too, but I see that thing where I want to be the person I was before them.
Right.
You know, I'm saying that in quotations because that's usually some regard.
Do you really want
to? But you don't.
Do you want to go back?
Well, that's how you got in this position in the first place, mother.
You know, and so fast forward, I'm here today, and I love myself.
Yeah.
My value isn't in any relationship. It's not in any other person. My value is in who I was created to be. My identity is who I was created to be. Yeah,
you're not, and I think that is something that I just want to really touch base on, is your identity is not rooted in a label.
No.
You know,
your reputation.
Right. And it's like, I say all the time, like, oh, I'm a mother. You know, that's a piece of my identity, but at the end of the day,
that's not your identity.
That's not my identity, you know, and if something were to happen, with anything, with any of the relationships in my life, with my job, there was a point, you know, where, like I had talked about with my previous business, Treasure Nest, I had so much of my identity wrapped up in that I felt suffocated, right? So when I originally built the company, I was with the father of my kids and I was on the hustle and all of that stuff. And so then it was like, I had changed so much by the time that I closed that business down, you know, that I had to,
got so far away from yourself?
Not just so far away from it. I just wasn't the same person that started it. Right. I just wasn't the same human that started it. I didn't have the same hustle and drive.
Were you enjoying your journey?
What?
Were you enjoying that journey?
Oh, I enjoyed every day as a treasure nester. I really did. I loved what I did. I loved the families that I got to help. But then
you even hooked us up. Remember, we came and got it was a whole truckload.
It was a whole truckload of clothes.
Yeah, there was quite a few homeless couples and man, quite a few people got hooked up. I don't remember how many bags of clothes.
Right.
I mean, it filled up the whole truck bed.
I remember we had me and my brother Mo, we had a 10, 12-foot truck, and we would go clean out houses and stuff like that. But when we had our store off 34th Street, we would, you know, just give stuff away. We'd have to just that experience of owning that company. I had so much power of outreach, and I loved it. I loved being able to help in those ways. But then, like I had kind of touched base on, is like, what was that worth in the sacrifice of my kids? Right. I'm helping all these other people. Yep. All these other people are getting all this. I'm spending hours and hours and hours of my life doing this. And then my kids are with someone else.
And getting your leftovers.
And getting my leftovers.
You're stressed out. And I can relate, I'm stressed out. I worked a full week doing this extra ministry stuff and then come home exhausted and give my kids the burnout me, not the best version of me.
Yeah. And so when I made that list, when I was sitting in the depression, and I made that list of not only what I hated about myself, but I made the list of what I love about myself. There was this book that I had gotten while I was in Arkansas, and I just went in on it and answered every single question. And it was like a prompting book, that was like, I'm Spiritual AF is the name of it. And it really just like makes you like, just the prompts were just so on fire of like, what are, and of course, every
poking
other
the
word
bear,
was,
huh?
yeah, it really did. It really did, because I started that book with my ex thinking it would be like a couples thing, like, oh, we're gonna do it. And I was, once he was gone, I was like, no, I'm gonna finish this shit. I'm gonna finish it for me.
Nice.
And part of that though was just like when I was able to sit there and see all of the things that I loved about me was, and didn't love about me, and the mom one just kept coming up, like, and so it really made my mindset shift. And that's really where it happened. My perspective for me was like, okay, Abigail, if this isn't working right now, okay, how are you going to make this work with just you and your kids? That is your goal, right? So your goal is to figure out how you're going to financially provide for you and your kids with no babysitter, no help, nothing.
Come on.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
most gangster stuff you've ever done in your whole life, huh?
Oh, hell yeah, it was. That right there. And so I wrote that list out. I wrote the schedule out. And you've seen like my crazy little, like I'm at the point where I will write.
I was eavesdropping one day. I just kind of peeked at, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, that's nifty. You got your whole day written out.
Whole day.
Come on.
From the time that I opened
by the
my
hour,
eyes,
by the half hour.
Yes.
I'm like, dang. All
yes.
right. All right.
And, you know, I am human, but I do think that has really shifted the game for me, because
establishing a routine.
Yes, establishing a routine. And, you know,
and
again, I've even
it.
have in my routine time for, well, this ain't going to work. You know what I mean? Like I will say, okay, I started with the Isabel thing with her shoes. I started waking up at 5 a.m. every morning.
You said 45 minutes, bro.
Dude, it just depends. But I have to allow 45 minutes. That is part of whether we get it done at 5, cool. We can do something else for the other 40.
Self-accountability,
you know, we can
being
do
prepared.
40, being prepared.
Yeah.
I really have to think that if Isabel is involved, there's an additional hour added on any activity. That's coming, that's going, that's getting out of the car, that's all of it.
And that's fine.
Yeah, and that's fine with us.
That's your
but
life.
As long as it's, and so to be able to, if you are in a space where you feel like you have no support and you have all these people around, I mean, no support, if you're in this space as a mom, a single parent, I shouldn't say mom, single dad, you know,
dads too.
Dads
they
too,
rough it out
right?
too.
They rough it out too. If you're in this space with single parent and you don't quite know how you're going to provide for your kids and do the hustle, I would say start there. Start with a schedule, and that schedule. And we were just talking a second ago about how I break schedules with the school, right? Because to me, their schedule isn't as important as ours.
Nope.
Right? It's not.
No.
It's definitely not as important as ours. And what I was doing in my past life was stressing so much about the perception of what the school thought about me.
Yeah.
And what the school thought about us. I was like, oh, I don't want them to think that I'm a single mom that doesn't have it all together and we're late every day. And so I would be
don't want the state involved, huh?
I was a screamer, man. I would be screaming at Jazzy like, come on, we only got and what did that cause?
Right.
Like all I did was give my kid anxiety.
Because of their expectations, and then also, let's be accountable, the assumptions that you had of not meeting their expectations.
Right.
F all that.
Right. So in today's,
yeah,
and that was like a past life. And now today, not to say that we still aren't late sometimes, but after adjusting my perception of my perspective on things like that in my day-to-day life, adding a schedule in there that we can all count on, my girls are never late anymore.
Nice.
You know, because it's just, it's added in and it's not stressful for any of us. We just know what we need to do. Oh, well, and I'm going to knock on wood. I just said never. I hate that word.
Hey, yeah. Thank you. I'm going to ask for any single mom, and I'm keeping it to the women this time. If any single mom out here is struggling with that, can they reach out to you?
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing advice?
No, I don't mind sharing advice. I think that, you know, I'm always going to leer on the side of like trying to give you advice that I don't think would meet everybody, if that makes sense. Yeah. I really try hard to just stick with what I know, because that always bugs me with other people when they, like we said, when they're giving me advice, it's like I try not to be what my pet peeve is.
Yeah.
And so if you are struggling with just ideas on how to change your daily perspective or your daily where to get started, I'd be happy. I'd be happy to help.
What's the hustle? Type of deal. Abigail does I don't want to butcher it. What is the masterclass?
The masterclass manifesting meh.
Manifesting meh.
Yeah.
Masterclass.
Yeah, like because the emoji meh that like got anyway. Meh. It's a great.
And so a workshop. Pretty much. It
is a social media workshop. It will start March 1st. And then it will be 6 weeks long for the intro and then 8 weeks long for the extended, like the advanced one. And then it's usually minimum of an hour, right? It just depends on how many people chime into it, but it is a Zoom link. So if you want to be included in that link, definitely reach out to me. I will add you to the page. Get you in on that. And what that does is I go through like how to make money on social media. So for me, I stumbled upon it by being silly, and my content for years has just been very fluid. And I figured, I kind of figured out the algorithm a little bit to where I'm able to get people at least to the point where they can start producing funds. Now, the big piece of the pie is that after they've gotten their professional dashboard set up and all of these things, they have to do the work.
Yes.
I'm not out here doing work for, if you do own a small business, I do have 15 different small businesses that I do social media for on my own. That's part of my hustle, but not to say that you can't do that yourself. I show people how to do that.
She wants to show you how, guys.
I want to show you how because
this is game. This is free game. I mean, how do you not hop on board?
Right. I mean, I have a big belief, especially with how my finances and stuff are set up. Like I will never go back to one income. I will never do it. One income is like building on sand. And so I have to have at least 4 streams of income. So if 3 go down, I'm still going to be able to feed my kids because that's it. That's like when I have to have that of 4. And so whether I only make $100 on one of the social medias or 2,000, then I'm like, whew, I'm happy. Ooh, because that's not my main income.
That covered gas and insurance. That covered snacks.
Groceries. Man, Jazzy School sends home these flyers once a week. It's like another $10. Yeah. Just forking out, oh, we got book fair this week. And Jazzy's like, I'm going to need $27 for this pencil. I'm like, come on, man.
Hey, thank you, Maida. But guys, for real. So I was just talking with her. How's that work? How's that flow? And go ahead and sign up. And if you're worried about paying for it or the expense side of it, don't worry about that, because what she's wanting to show you is game on how to use your Facebook, your social media that you're on all the time anyways.
Yep.
In a silly way if you want to.
So I'm tip based. And that's how I've set it up for everybody to have a stake in the game, is that whatever you're able to provide, shoot me a tip. I keep my Venmo on there. It's extremely helpful to me and my kids I do it twice a year. I do it usually at the beginning of March. And then because we're so busy during the summertime with soccer and stuff, I no longer commit to that.
Probably.
But yeah, back to the fall. And then again, Christmas, winter time. So I don't do it in the summer. I don't do it in the winter. But then twice a year, I will do like a 6-week thing for an hour and a half.
And we have one coming March 1st.
March 1st. Yep. So get with me, and I'll have all that out on my social medias and stuff like that. I think right now, currently, the classroom has 215 people that chime in. And so, like I said, even if everybody gives me $1, right, that's extremely helpful to me and my kids. And that's just one of my hustles that I'm like, God gave me what I have now, and I just got to keep building off of that.
Yep. Be a good steward of it,
and pay it forward at the same time, because I can name 5 different people that, though again they might only make $100 a month off of their social medias. That's something.
It's something.
That's, and you can giggle all you want, but when you're making nothing,
I'm making about 100. I've made more in the past. Just depends on how much I put into it. Mm-hmm. How much are you going to put time into it or not? Mm-hmm. And so I'm averaging about 100 right now, and I'm telling you, it hits
at
on the right
perfect
spot.
Time.
I'll be at the gas station, and I'm on E, and I'm like, I'm not finna call my brother and borrow $20. My pride's getting to me. Ping.
Yeah.
Oh, direct deposit, bet. And so even if it's only $100, guys, it's helpful. And
it is. Yeah. Meta.
I don't want you to miss out on this opportunity of this game that she's trying to share.
Well, and that's where, I've kind of I've trialed and erred with Meta so much, which is Facebook and Instagram, that I've got that part where it's consistently making funds. Now, even with this podcast, it's like I am an analytics nerd, so I am using this podcast to see just how quickly we get the reach momentum to 500, because you have to have 500 followers to monetize on YouTube. You have to have 1,000 on Facebook. So if I can get 1,000 on Facebook in the fastest growing one on Facebook is right now this podcast.
Really?
Yeah, well, we've only had it for 2.5 weeks. It's up to.
And again, shout out to our community, our friends and family, and the strangers we've never even met that we just vibe with on social media. Before we even recorded a episode, we was like 200.
Yeah. Before we had ever dropped a first episode, and it's just like doubled in the last week, which is just such a blessing.
We love you guys. Thank you guys.
We do. We appreciate you. We love you. If you're out there listening, there's hope on the other side of that darkness, and that's something that we continuously try to come back and share, is like we're just the hope that even if you're in that dark space, like I was a year and a half ago, I was just in this dark space where I didn't know what I was going to do financially. I didn't know what I was going to do in any fashion, but I just knew that I had to write it down. And I had to figure it out.
I'm big on writing it down.
Yeah.
That evaluation thing was really good. I've never actually done. I've done some similar things, but I know the power in writing stuff down, especially your vision, especially your goals. It's like this podcast. This is something that I have written down, and I have this folder in the notes app on my phone that is detailed assignments for my wife and I and our family and our ministry. And the podcast is one of them. And I encourage any of you that are listening, start writing it down.
Yeah, start writing it because manifesting it is huge.
You have to write it down.
It is huge. Like I will manifest something in that notebook that you saw. Like I write everything down at this point, thoughts. And then my phone is constantly being filled with other notes, and sometimes I'll be rapping in the car. I might one day release some of these.
Voice to text real quick.
Yeah. Because I'm like, ooh, I listen to a lot of instrumentals. I do, because, words are so powerful. They're so powerful. And so sometimes it's like you have to get it out some way. But I think for just being able to change the perspective in yourself, if that's where you're at right now in life, is you're just trying to figure out how to change your perspective of yourself.
See value in yourself. Yeah. Love yourself.
Start with that inventory. In AA, it's like step 4. And a lot of people can't ever get past step 4. And some people have to skip it and come back to it, because it honestly is consistent.
You're dealing with you being honest. It's a real honest evaluation of yourself with yourself.
And it has to be a consistent one where you can consistently come back and say, what does my perspective of myself look like today? And is this what I'm shooting for tomorrow? Is this what I really want, or is this what I'm allowing around me? Is this the space?
Is this my environment pressuring this identity on me?
Yeah. And
we don't want you to do that, guys.
Yeah. We don't want you to do that, but we know that it's human, and then we know that it's hard to just walk away from things that you grew up with. It's hard to walk away from someone that you've been for a really long time, because it's comfortable.
Yes.
So comfortable being in that space. For me, in my situations with my relationships, it was comfortable to be the breadwinner because there was a safety in that. There was comfortable with, enabling the people around me. I had a huge accountability problem with enabling the BS that was happening around me.
And we say it's out of love, but
what it really
is, if we love them,
we love them, and it doesn't mean you don't love them by enabling them, but it means that you're doing more harm than good. There was a book that I read a couple of years ago that was like, when helping hurts. When helping hurts.
And about enabling.
It was about enabling people, and specifically, like family and things like that, and just taking on too much of their problems instead of dealing with your own, and just, it kind of got really deep. It got deep really quickly.
But good lesson to learn.
It was a huge lesson to learn because at this point, I don't see myself enabling anyone ever in the same way. I don't want to say ever again because
you didn't
sometimes,
say never that time.
Well, I didn't. I really dislike that word. So I try not to, but so
audience, anyone who's listening to this, you are who you were created to be. You're not other people's image of you. You're not the expectations that they put on you. You're not even the current mess how you're looking at yourself. That's not you. You're worthy. You're loved. We love you. Mm-hmm. And
you hold so much value.
So much value. Oh my God.
It's there. You just got to dig for it.
I wanted to share this last podcast, but we'll put it in the sign off because I want people to really love themselves, be comfortable in your own skin. And it's fine to be ate up. Mm-hmm. I am ate up.
Embrace it because you can't fix it if you don't take accountability for it.
And just accept who you are.
Yeah.
And that you need growth, that you need help. And I would rather be ate up than never being tasted at all.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
And so just be you. Be comfortable. Love yourself. We love you.
Yeah, and we love you guys. Yep, I appreciate all you guys chiming in tonight. So I hope you guys have a beautiful Saturday night. Thank you all for
for joining us.
For joining us tonight, and thank you all for just your presence is valued, and you are valuable. So have a beautiful night, guys.
All right, can I say a prayer?
Oh yeah, say a prayer. Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Well, Heavenly Father, we just lift you up. Praise your name, Lord. I thank you for this podcast. I thank you for everyone involved. I thank you for the sacrifices that people are making so that this can be done. And my prayer, my hope is that as our voices are going out there, that there's freedom, there's healing, there's life. And Lord, that you would help every single one listening now, later on, deal with themselves and love themselves and do for them what you've done for us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.